Howdy, howdy, and welcome to using Google Analytics to ace your goals. My name is Chris Mercer. I do go by Mercer, and I am the co-founder here at measurementmarketing.io. First, a special shout out to our social media examiner readers who are coming and watching the video. Welcome. Always a pleasure to have you here. Here's what's covered today. So first, we're going to talk about what exactly a goal is and why you'd want to set them. We're going to talk about why it's important to actually use them, specifically in tools like Google Analytics. And we are going to give you a very, very easy to use A.C.E framework, the A.C.E framework that'll actually help you to set your goals. Makes it 1,000 times easier to figure out what a goal should be. First, let's talk about the pillars of measurement marketing. Now, when it comes to measurement marketing, there are 5 steps that you must follow. Number 1 is planning. And when it comes to goals, it's equally important to make sure that you plan ahead. You've got to have your customer journey, your customer path, all sort of charted out so that you can plan out what your goals should be. Once you've thought that through, and we will help you with that today, you can then go through and build out those goals. And that's where you might use something like Google Analytics to set goals inside that platform. Then you will be able to use the reports within Google Analytics, something we will also show you today, so that you can actually get really fast answers as to what's working and what's not. At that point, you can start to forecast how your customer journey is going, how your customer path is going, and you can start forecasting what the results of your future goals will be. And ultimately, you can start to send traffic through so that you can then measure actual traffic against what your forecasts are. That's what will tell you which step is working and which step is not. That's where you optimize. So those are the 5 pillars of measurement marketing as they relate to goals. Now, let's talk about using Google Analytics to ace your goals. First, what's a goal? What is a goal anyway? What should it be? Why should we even set a goal? Let's talk about that. Well, a goal is obviously a target. A goal is what you want to accomplish, right? So you want to fire toward the bullseye, as in this particular example. And let's focus kind of on the internet marketing, the online marketing world. So let's say you've got a category page in your e-commerce site. They come through a category page, and maybe the typical customer journey is they go to the product detail page, and then maybe they go to something like adding to cart. And from there, they've got a choice. They could either go to the checkout, or of course, they could go continue shopping. And then et cetera, et cetera. You've got your customer path from there. Now, instantly, when you think about a goal, what the main goal from this particular path would be, you might lean toward checkout. Checkout makes sense. It's a goal that we want them to do. We want them to actually purchase information. But another goal could also be the product detail page, and it might even be the add to cart. I'm going to show you exactly what we mean with this particular framework. Now, a goal, when you think about it, is really just a milestone in the customer journey. And to maybe define that even further, it's a necessary milestone in the customer journey. If you think about it, if we go back to this, it's necessary for somebody to see the product detail page in order for them to add to cart. That's necessary. And it's necessary for them to add to cart in order to actually get to the checkout process. So these are necessary milestones in that journey. And that's why these could all be goals. Now, when used correctly, when you use these things right, goals become incredibly useful tools. This is really how you should be thinking about your goals, not just one goal per customer journey or anything like that, but that you have a whole set of tools. And even though they're all tools, there are different types of tools, just like there are different types of goals. But you've got to be careful, because if you use the wrong tool for the wrong purpose, things can kind of get a little more difficult than they need to be. Things can be a whole lot more difficult, in fact, than they need to be. So that's where this ACE goals framework comes in. Now, ACE stands for awareness, completion, and engagement. Awareness, completion, and engagement. And it really comes down to the 3 main types of goals that you should be monitoring as a measurement marketer. So awareness goals. What's an example of an awareness goal? Well, maybe it's something as simple as they're familiar with your brand. Right? You're advertising out there, you're doing some paid media, and you at least get them familiar with your brand. Maybe it's a little bit more specific, that they're exposed to the particular offer that you're making. Either they landed on an opt-in offer to become a lead, or maybe they landed on a sales page to actually purchase something. If you think about it from an offline perspective, which I love doing, I love sort of trying to translate this whole offline world into the online world and vice versa. It would be as if somebody was walking by and they happened to see the shoe store, right? If you happen to see a physical shoe store, that's an awareness goal. They are now aware that that shoe store exists. So that's all the awareness goal is supposed to do. Then you've got completion goals. And this is probably the one that you're most familiar with. It's the one that you naturally think about as a goal. So becoming a lead. Obvious completion. When somebody gives you their email, their information, and you can then mail them because they're part of your list, that's a completion of some sort. Purchased, a big obvious one. They actually buy the product that you're trying to sell. And in the case of the offline world, going back to that shoe store example, it would be the person who bought the shoes. That would be the completion goal. But then there's a third one that's often skipped, and that is the engagement goals. So the engagement goals. So in the case of online, it could be something as simple as clicking on a button. It could also be viewing the order form, maybe viewing the cart page could be a sign of engagement. And then in the offline world, it's engaging with the purchase, in this case, trying on the shoes. Somebody sees the shoe store, that's awareness. They try on the shoes, there's the engagement, and ultimately they buy the shoes. That's your completion goal. Okay. So ACE awareness goals. Awareness. Again, maybe the online world, we talk about viewing a blog post might be the awareness. So you send them from Facebook or LinkedIn or Google Ads. Maybe you're doing SEO and you get all that information. You send them over to your blog post. And that's an awareness goal. They're aware of you. But really the point of that would be to get a lead. Let's say in this case, it's to get leads. Well, the opt-in is the completion goal. So you would also set that. And then you've got the engagement. What's in between awareness and the completion? That's your engagement goal. So in this case, they come to a blog post, maybe they click on a button to see what you're actually offering them, the free white paper that you're offering, or the free tool, or something that they can get for signing up. That would be the engagement when they actually see the offer. So there's another example of an ACE goal. If we go back to our category page here, you got your little customer journey with a category page. They continue through, they click through the product details, they click through to those, and they end up going to add to cart. They click on add to cart, and then they either check out or they continue shopping. And before, when we talked about the different goals, we instantly went to checkout. That sort of seems like the obvious one. But now think about this. That product detail page is actually an awareness goal. So you would set that up as a goal, and that would be your awareness goal. Your completion goal, in this case, is the checkout. And then in between those two, you have the engagement of the add to cart. So that could be a click that you could track as add to cart, or maybe somebody sees the actual cart page as an engagement goal. And you would set all three of these in your Google Analytics or at a platform like that. So it's not just choosing which goal to set. You set all three. You set awareness goals, you set completion goals, and you set engagement goals in your customer journey. Now, this is a free tool. If you go to measure.tip/ACE goals, it'll take you directly to it. So you can go ahead and use this tool to help you organize your thoughts. And really what it is you would print this out and you think through, okay, what's the customer journey? What's the particular path that I am thinking about? And that kind of goes in that left-hand, extreme left-hand column there. And then you've got your awareness goals, your completion goals, your engagement goals, and then any notes that you would need in order to set it up. But it sort of helps you to plan out and get out of your head and onto paper what the different goals could be. And remember, you need all three. You need awareness goals, you need completion goals, and you need engagement goals. And your gut will be to race toward completion goals. But don't forget about the other two, awareness and engagement. You need those. So awareness, completion, and engagement, all three is what gives you a big picture as far as what's going on. Now let's talk about Google Analytics. This is an obvious tie-in. Google Analytics is a fantastic tool. It is built to track goals, and you can set up goals very quickly. So why would you want to use goals in Google Analytics? Well, very simply, you can set up goals incredibly fast in Google Analytics, something called destination goals, which is based on the URLs that people go through. And while this training is not focused on how to do that, we have other trainings in our channel that you can look to actually set those goals up. So you can definitely learn how to do that. But if you look at ours, this is kind of a snapshot of our backend in Google Analytics, we have a bunch of different goals. Now you can see here, Academy, in this case for the Measurement Marketing Academy, it's kind of our flagship product. We have our sales page. So this is a goal that lights up. It's an awareness goal. Okay, this is our awareness goal where we light this goal up when somebody sees our sales page, because that's a necessary milestone in that particular customer journey, from somebody who is not at all aware of the Academy all the way through to when they become a buyer of the Measurement Marketing Academy. So this is an example of awareness goals. Then we have our completion goal. Now, the completion itself is the purchase. So in this case, it's when the thank you page lights up, and we set a goal in Google Analytics to say, great, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we set that up as a completion goal. But we still have an engagement goal, and the engagement goal is when they see the cart. So we're actually measuring these three primary stages, these three steps as the customer goes from awareness to engagement and then ultimately completing. So we've got our ACE goals set up there. Now, where this really comes into play is in your source medium report. So in your source medium report, you're going to have the identity of your different traffic sources. But you also have the results of all of these different traffic sources. And if you are doing this correctly, you can very quickly tie in your identity to the results, which is really powerful because you're going to find certain traffic sources are incredibly good at achieving certain types of goals. But they may not all be completion goals. It might be that certain traffic sources are better at achieving awareness goals, or maybe certain traffic sources are better at achieving engagement goals. And of course, some traffic sources will be better at achieving completion goals. But you'll be able to see that in this particular report when you're using this framework. So let's actually go back and I'm going to see this in action. Let's jump into Google Analytics so you can take a look for yourself. So in our Google Analytics, I'm going to go into the source medium report in the Google Analytics demo account here. So we're just going to go into acquisition, all traffic, and then source medium. I'm going to click through to here. Now, once we have our source medium, we're going to scroll down here a little bit. You can see here we've got the identity of the different traffic sources. So these are the different traffic sources that are currently being measured. And by default, you're going to have e-commerce. We're going to flip that over to our goals. Now, let's think about these goals in terms of A.C.E framework. You've got awareness goals, we have completion goals, we have engagement goals. So I'm actually going to use this purchase completed. This is actually a completion goal. This is when somebody buys something. So here's our completion goal. Then we're going to specifically focus on the checkout process. So this is going to be enter checkout. This would be the awareness of the checkout process. And then you've got registrations, which is a necessary engagement. They've got to register for the account before they can purchase. So we've got enter checkout, you've created your account, which is an engagement process. And then you've got the completion here of purchase, right? So awareness, we've got our completion, and then our engagement of registration. So let's take a look at the awareness goals here in terms of entered checkout. So as we come through, we look at enter checkout. What's the awareness of the checkout? Well, Google Organic gets about 1% of its traffic, at least during this date range, to be aware of that particular thing, of in this case, checkout. But if you look down here, almost 5 times, working 5 times as hard, we've got this Googleplex traffic coming in. So raw numbers, it's basically bringing in the same amount as is this traffic source, the direct non-traffic source. But this one is a little more identifiable. We know this is Googleplex traffic, and it's 5 times, almost 6 times as much as effective as this Google Organic traffic is. So what does this say to me as a measurement marketer? Well, what this says is this particular traffic source is really good about getting people aware of the checkout process, people that are entering the checkout process, starting it up, right? So I know this is really good at that. Now, if I have the choice between scaling up this traffic and scaling up that traffic, I would do my best to scale up the Googleplex traffic because that's a more effective traffic source for achieving my goal. Now, that doesn't mean that I would ignore Google Organic by far. Of course not. We wouldn't want to do that. There's probably a lot more traffic coming in from a Google. So even if my conversion rates are low, I would still net more. But this one also nets more, at least during this date range. So I know that Googleplex traffic, high quality and really good, I could expect in this case 5.5 almost % to convert into an awareness goal. And that's what I would start to forecast out and then measure against to see if that maintains. So already that's an example of an awareness goal where I know this particular traffic source does a really great job of making people aware. Now let's see if that holds true on the engagement. So this is the registration. So when somebody actually registers and creates an account. So as we do that, we've got our registrations. Now you'll see the Googleplex traffic, not so much. Doesn't really have a whole lot of registrations coming through. So there's a lot of people that are entering checkout, but it doesn't really get them to complete. And yet Google Organic does seem to have that. So we've got Google Organic coming in, and we're going to make an assumption here that everything's set up correctly. I don't know if it is or not on Google's end, but let's assume what this is. This is giving us a useful truth of traffic sources. Then in this case, just reading this, I would say, you know what, Google Organic, while it does not do a great job of getting people to actually become aware of the checkout, it does get them, those people are becoming engaged in this particular process. And maybe that's because they're doing searches and things like that and coming in back from Google Organic. We also have this this direct none. A lot of times, especially if you're not using UTMs properly, which you always should, and tag your traffic properly, a lot of email traffic ends up direct none. So this might be something where there's like cart abandonment sequences or something like that that's bringing people back to get them to engage. And so maybe that's why some of these goals are here. But again, Googleplex traffic, not so much. Not really. Even though there's a bunch of traffic coming through, it doesn't achieve the goal we want, which in this case is registrations. And again, this might also be because of the way this goal is set up. We always have to keep that in mind. This might also be because these are already registered individuals. They're not new accounts. So it's entirely possible. But for sake of example, the way of using this is still useful to be able to think through it like this. Then we go into purchases. That's our completion goal. So if we look at the completion goal itself, we see Google Organic again coming in with a very tiny 1/10%, but it is bringing in the most completions overall. And then you've got direct non-traffic, which again could be email traffic that's not tagged, something like that. And then the rest. Finally, let's take a quick look at measurement marketing. So this is now we're much lower traffic than Google Analytics. So I pulled up a bunch of data here, but I wanted you to see this in process. So we've got the Academy sales. Remember, this is our awareness of the sales page. So we can see Infusionsoft email. It's our backend email service that makes people aware of the page. But really the big winner is this traffic source and this traffic source. So we've got a paid Facebook campaign that is pushing people to the Academy sales page. So that's why that's so high. That's why that should be so high, because that's the lander for this campaign. But we also have referral traffic coming in from our sister site over at Serious and Simple Marketing that brings in people directly. We have Social Media Examiner, of course.com that is bringing in traffic as well. And some of that's converting. So you can kind of get an idea of how well this converts for, in this case, awareness of the Measurement Marketing Academy as a product. Then I can flip through to cart, and we're going to see obviously the drop down. This is where people are now moving from that page to the cart. You can see Serious and Simple Marketing still really good about getting people to the cart. There's still people that are there that are still interested in that information. Infusionsoft email is kind of the same, but the conversion rates drop a lot more. And, Social Media Examiner also does that at 2.7%. So we still have some traffic that's coming in, but we get a different view as to how well that traffic is working. And then ultimately we can move to purchase, which is that third step, our completion goal in this case. And the completion goal itself, we see email really maintains itself. So email is what's causing the most sales to actually happen. When it comes to this, we still get some from Serious and Simple Marketing, and that's really it for this point. We did have some from Google Organic come in. And with more numbers, you would see similar things. But we see our Facebook campaign, while it's really, really good about making people aware of the Measurement Marketing Academy, it is not good about helping them to complete and become a purchase. And that could be, this is where we come in as a traffic source and say, well, maybe Facebook is just really great about making people aware, but they need more education. They need more value built. They need a bigger story being told before they can actually effectively consider a purchase of the Measurement Marketing Academy. And that's how that would work for us. This is where I, as a measurement marketer, start looking into it to see exactly how can I improve these campaigns and the messaging between them. Because right now, again, I can see there's no purchases coming in from this campaign. But if I go back to our cart page, I can see that it's really, the breakdown is here. So we've got 3.9% of the people actually engaging, moving to cart. The vast majority that are coming in, being aware of our sales page from Facebook, aren't really coming through. So we only had 3 out of the 73 that actually moved it from the awareness of a sales page to actually the cart. So this is a dead giveaway that campaign is really good about making people aware, but not so good about engaging them, which is the next stage. So I've got to figure out a good traffic source to engage them. Maybe I change the funnel and I realize that because Infusionsoft and my email backend is at least better at engaging and ultimately closing the sale, maybe I start using Facebook to, instead of try to close the sale, I use Facebook to make them aware of the offer and then become a lead. And then once they become a lead, then I use email, which is a slower, more one-on-one process of actually building value before we ask for the sale on the Measurement Marketing Academy. And these are decisions that I can make exclusively because I'm using this ACE goals framework. So very, very important framework, and hopefully it makes sense as to just how useful this could be. So here's what's been covered so far. Number one, what a goal is. Remember, it's just a necessary milestone in the customer journey, why it's important to use goals, and specifically this easy to use ACE framework: awareness goals, completion goals, engagement goals. And I hope you were able to see, at least in the Google Analytics end of things, why it's important to use all three, because they can sort of help guide you as to which traffic sources are doing what and how you might adjust your own marketing. Now, your next steps when it comes to ACE goals: number one, use your ACE goals planner. Remember, it's measure.tips/ACE goals. We'll take you there. You can take it, print it out, get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper. It does wonders for you when you build a plan. Then go in and set up your ACE goals in Google Analytics. You can start with something very, very simple, creating the goal as simply as possible. And you, of course, can make it more complicated in Google Analytics with events and everything else if you already know how to do that. Otherwise, be sure, if you have questions over that stuff, we have videos in this channel that will help you with that as well. And then use the source medium report. That was the report you saw us using in Google Analytics. Use that report to go and get your answers. So get your goals set up, test them, make sure they're working, send traffic to them, and after a week or two, come back to them and start using that ACE framework to find out what's working and what's not, and how you might adjust and change your own marketing in order to better achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So with that wraps it up. This has been using Google Analytics to ace your goals. Thank you again to our audience coming in from Social Media Examiner. We love the readers there. You guys are awesome. And of course, thanks for watching. My name again is Chris Mercer, co-founder here at measurementmarketing.io. Appreciate you watching this video, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.